The next department to come up is the Public Defender's Office. If you can go ahead and begin to make your way down.
Hey, Don.
We'll give you a second to get settled. This is the hearing for the public defender. The question is related to the other departments. Public Defender Diener, is that with the understanding of the status quo recommended budget, what does that entail for the operations of your respective department? And just for the viewing audience, if you can provide a brief synopsis of the services that you provide for the city, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Furcher. So the Public Defender's Office, good evening, everybody. The Public Defender's Office represents adults accused of crimes and children charged with delinquency offenses here in Nashville who cannot afford to hire a lawyer for their defense. We do that because our Constitution guarantees everyone the right to counsel when their liberty is at stake. But what we do is much more than just that. We protect those who are innocent from wrongful conviction. We advocate for smart and compassionate justice for those who have been found guilty of a crime. We seek equal justice for our clients in a system where lacking power, wealth, and privilege often makes that difficult. We help care for and take care of some of our most vulnerable residents, who often end up in jail because their human needs are not being met by other systems, whether that's a lack of quality education, a lack of substance abuse treatment, or a lack of mental health care in the community. Or, frankly, simply because they experienced a childhood steeped in poverty and riddled with traumatic events. So we serve as a voice for those people in Nashville. I know many of you have often heard Sheriff Hall talk about the numbers of individuals who are held in our jails who have mental illness. And the reality is that those clients, those folks are our clients. And so we are just as responsible as he is for trying to find the right way for Nashville to help those residents and help those citizens to meet their needs and be the best that they can be in a humane way. Our vision is to provide effective, high-quality, zealous advocacy for all of our clients, regardless of the charges they face, regardless of the circumstances of their lives. We do that with a great staff of about 80 people, and every year I like to come here and say thank you to that staff. They are very dedicated employees of investigators, lawyers, paralegals, law clerks, social services staff, intake representatives, who are highly dedicated individuals, highly professional individuals who care deeply about the clients we serve, the community we serve, and the people of Nashville. A status quo budget for us means we will continue to do all of those things as we have always done them. And so I don't have much more to say about that. I can answer questions. I would add one thing. For many years when I came here, I would come after the district attorney's office. For the last few years, I've become before the district attorney's office. And so, as you might imagine, there can be some back and forth between those two offices, particularly when it comes to budget issues. I don't know what District Attorney Funk will say in his remarks here, but I was reminded last year that perhaps it would be a good idea for me to make sure that the council is aware of one certain provision in the law, and that is that if the council chooses to, or if Metro chooses to give additional local funding to the district attorney's office, there's a state statute that requires any increase in funding to the district attorney to be met by a match of 75% of the increase to the public defender's office. And I don't say that to rain on his parade or to try to impact whatever he may ask of from this body, if in fact he does. But really as a reminder, just so you aren't caught unaware of that. This will be my last budget hearing as well. I want to introduce, which I should have done to begin with, Annette Crutchfield, who is our Administrative Services Manager and keeps the trains running on time at our office and has been a wonderful help to me and does all the budget stuff and then some at our office. And then to my right, Martisa Johnson, who is your public defender-elect. And I'm really excited about her being Nashville's next public defender. She's going to do a great job. And we are already working to make a smooth transition for the Public Defender's Office into its next and what I expect will be its best leader ever. So she's here with me. And I'll take questions.
Thank you so much. Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, ma'am, and great to see you again for the last time. Not that it's great that it's the last time, but it's a wonderful successor you have to your right up there, and we're real pleased to have her along board for the future. Just a quick question about the state direct revenue increase of $48,900. Can you tell me what that's about?
I can.
I know you
and
can.
I'll try to be brief about it. So our funding, Metro's funding for the public defense function in Metro we get some funding from the state, and then the rest is funding from Metro. So the funding we get from the state is established by state statute. And a few years ago, that statute was changed to tie the state's increase in funding to Metro for public defense to the change in the consumer price index. And so that has meant since that statute was changed, we get an increase in funding from the state for public defense services, which, mind you, is a constitutional state obligation. That is a very small amount. So for instance, our state appropriation, I think, is somewhere around $2.2 million. That will increase next year by $40,000. And so that's about 25%. The $2.2 million represents about 25% of the funding for the public defender office in Nashville. You know, again, when you look at parity between DA and public defender and where funding is coming from, that's a much lower percentage of funding than the DA's office gets from the state. Again, that's another state function. But those numbers, it can be confusing to compare budgets because the state dollars that fund positions and expenses at the district attorney's office are not reflected in the budget documents before you. That is just Metro funding. But all of state and Metro funding is reflected in our budget documents.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to pretend like I'm a Tennessean reporter now. And how many more months you got in office?
A little less than 4.
You ready to tell us what you're going to do in your next chapter of your life?
I'm sure that I will be staying in Nashville and continuing, hopefully, to do work that I love.
Oh, but we can't drag any specifics out of you now, then.
No, not tonight.
Okay, I
no.
figured that might be the case. Well, thank you all for the wonderful job you've done. It's been quite a pleasure working with you, and I know I speak for many of us in here. We're going to miss you, but we're really excited about your successor as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much. So thank you so much, Councilman Pulley. Got tongue-tied there. Seeing no other council members seeking recognition, thank you so much, Ms. Diener, and to your staff and to the service that you provide to the city. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.